Dallas was the team that sent Micah to Green Bay. And the compensation, I was waiting for it at first, and then it came out. And I was very underwhelmed. Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks. It feels like the Packers got an absolute steal, and it leaves you wondering why the Cowboys traded Micah. And Drew, you said that you believe Dallas was going to trade Micah because although they have bluffed in the past, this felt different. So speak on that.
I mean, it seemed like Micah was fed up. It was very evident. You're not laying on a sideline without a uniform, completely dejected from the game. One that's unprofessional as it gets, but it just seemed as if Micah's the type of guy to say what he means and not
Mean what he said.
try and go back on his word. And I'm not surprised that this move happened. I think I am more surprised at the destination. I'm not surprised at the compensation in terms of not Micah immediately getting the payday, immediately becoming the highest paid defender in all of football, the highest paid non-quarterback in all of football as well, a mega contract. I'm not surprised at that after the move, but Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones, it was evident the two had completely lost their relationship with one another. Jerry had been way too vocal in the press for my liking as well. That's not how you treat a star player. And he went through this with Dak. He went through this with CeeDee Lamb, and the two of them were a little bit more lenient and willing to let Jerry get away with and say whatever he wants. That has never been Micah. Micah has been vocal. From the minute he has stepped into the National Football League, he has been one of the more vocal athletes we have in this sport. And if he says something, I'm going to believe what he says. And I'm not surprised that today happened. I'm surprised at the destination, although there were rumors that the Packers were favored to get him. I didn't see a trade I didn't see a trade in conference happening. I thought if he were to be traded, it would be to the AFC where he does not have to hurt the Cowboys whatsoever. But the compensation's not enough for a guy like Micah Parsons, 2 firsts and a defensive player. That does not move the needle. I get that the contract's the big reason why Micah Parsons is not a Dallas Cowboy right now. But very simply, you don't trade a player the caliber of Micah Parsons, let alone a player that's going into the last year of his rookie deal. You knew you had to pay him. Mike is a game changer. Without him, the Dallas Cowboys are looking like a bottom 5 defense, and that's just the reality.
Yeah, Jerry Jones has become kind of the laughing stock of the NFL. Took a while to pay Dak when you could have paid him early. Took a while to pay CD when you could have paid CD early. And then now you've just completely botched this whole Michael Parsons things. Not to mention, like you said, Drew, completely disrespecting your star players in the media, in public. And this is kind of the big three for your franchise. You know, you have Dak, the quarterback, CD, the wide receiver, and Micah, the defensive player. And Micah being the youngest of the three and him being traded kind of throws you off for a limbo because he's the only guy holding that defense up. Kenny Clark is coming off his worst statistical season last year with Green Bay. And like you mentioned, Drew, I don't care if he was on his last year or whatever. You still should. Best defensive player in the world. Got to get more. Got to get more, or trade him. You trade him to your rival. Like Dallas and Green Bay have been in some dogfights, you know, and you kind of trade him to a team that you're gonna see more often than not. An AFC destination would have looked good. For Dallas, it's just where do you go from here? I mean, now the defense is probably going to be a joke, or they're definitely going to drop off because I feel like Micah kept this defense at a safe floor. You know, that secondary room is coming off of injuries from Diggs, Deron Bland. You know, they still can't stop the run. And offensively, it's going to be electric because, you know, you have Pickens, you have CeeDee Lamb, but you have no run game. This just makes Dallas feels less and less like their playoff hopes is down the drain. The direction is seamless. You don't know where they're going to go with it. And Jerry Jones has completely just, you know, this is America's team. It's been America's team for our lifetime, but every year it feels like the laughing, like the joke just keeps getting funnier and funnier and funnier. And now this shit not even funny no more. It's just like, what are you doing at this point?
No, you don't want to be the team that trades Micah Parsons. And this move, like you highlighted, Drew, all of the comments that Jerry's taken in the media were unwarranted. And it feels like Jerry Jones is the type of person that feels like it's a movie that's featuring him as the star, but you're not as the owner and kind of co-decision maker for the Dallas Cowboys. You're the one that's put the best product in the field. And looking at the risk of trading Micah, to me, far outweighs the potential reward of hitting on those 2 late first-round picks. I thought Rashawn Gary is going to be included in this move. The Packers keep him. And then you have this young nucleus of playmakers in Dallas where I feel like what Micah can do in that youth, in that type of situation, it's going to far exceed his impact. And Dallas, he was the one holding that defense together. So for the Cowboys, this is, to me, one of the worst decisions Jerry Jones has made. And given that this team has just consistently been with Dax healthy, a wild card team that can't get over the hump, I don't see it being any different. And when you look at the NFC East, it just fortifies even more that the Commanders are the better team.
For this NFL season, we are partnered with Splash Sports, and right now we have 3 contests up. We have NFL 5 and Done, we have NFL Survivor, and we have our free-to-join NFL Pick'em.
And we're doing something special just for you guys. We're giving out 5 copies of NBA 2K26. All you have to do is enter into one of these contests and show us proof that you entered.
You will not be able to enter these NFL contests on September 4th, the NFL season opener. So it is adamant that you enter as soon as possible and show us we can enter you in that giveaway. And Splash Sports tracks everybody coming from Pick a Side by joining our contest, so there is no affiliate link. So if you want to help the podcast further, if you want to help our partner because they are sponsoring us for the entire NFL season, go to Splash Sports. It's very easy. You go to the home tab. Once you download the app, you go to the search bar, you type in Pick a Side, we will pop up and you will see all of our NFL contests, and we will have NFL contests throughout the NFL season as well.
You learn a lot about a team, and I think about a GM from other people and like other organizations. What Eagles fans, and I'm sure a lot of other teams in the NFC and the NFC East, think about the Cowboys and think of Jerry Jones. They look at him and say, I hope you stay the GM forever. I hope Stephen Jones doesn't take over this team anytime soon, because we have seen time and time again, or more likely than not, because Jerry Jones has made some good moves. He has made some good draft picks. I don't want to sit here and just be like, he's just always making terrible moves. But more often than not, it feels like he doesn't quite understand the value of players, right? When even you go back and think of like the Amari Cooper trade that everyone talks about, multiple years ago, when he traded him to the Browns, when Amari Cooper was still like a top 15 receiver for a 5th round pick. And you wait to pay Dak Prescott until the day before the season, and you're paying him $60 million a season. Same thing with CeeDee Lamb and now Micah Parsons. It's just, there's certain GMs, Howie Roseman, for example, that get ahead of things, right? And can find value and find margins that help you build your team and help you, accumulate depth and draft picks and compensation draft picks down the line, because you're able to get all these good players and they leave. Dallas has not been able to really win in the margins much, right? Like, they're able to get these big home runs. They're able to find a Micah Parsons and a CeeDee Lamb, but they struggle at times to find some of those singles where like they just find some good depth pieces and find guys to replace others in other spots. And of course, they've gone to right at quarterback, right? They went from Tony Romo to Dak Prescott, and they did great there. And they've been good at wide receiver year after year, right? Whether it's Amari Cooper, they've always had good wide receiver cores, and now it's CeeDee Lamb. But what this really shows you is Jerry still feels out of touch, right? He went on his press conference after the fact and said, and explicitly, like, we have to be better at stopping the run. And I don't know what Micah Parsons has to do with that. Like, I know he's a pass rusher, he's an edge rusher, sure. But I mean, even if Micah Parsons was the worst run defender in the NFL, which he's not, that there's no reason why that should be the main reason why you go and trade Micah Parsons. It just doesn't make sense. And then he goes on to say, hopefully those 1st round picks, we could find some all-pro players, some Pro Bowl level players. You have one. You don't have just a Pro Bowler. You have an all-pro year in and year out player that when he is on the field, he is one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. So it just feels like Jerry's out of touch. And this isn't new, right? This is something we've known for multiple years now. But it felt like after the George Pickens trade, I was like, you know what? That's a good move, Jerry. Like, this is someone who has a lot of potential. You traded a day 2 or day 3 draft pick for him. He doesn't have to get paid for another season, right? That's felt like a decent move for the Cowboys. Like, maybe he's starting to figure some things out. But after all of these comments, he's saying the drama that goes on with the Dallas Cowboys. He even said in the documentary that he has on Netflix, like, I want this to be a soap opera year round. That's not how I want my organization to be run. I want my organization to be quiet. I don't want anything to be leaked out. I want them to sign guys ahead of time before they have to make $60 million, the number 1 paid quarterback in the NFL. I don't want them to be on headlines on ESPN every single morning. And that's more or less what Dallas has been for the majority of our lives.
It's a complete joke what happened with the Dallas Cowboys and this Micah Parsons trade. The city of Dallas has lost Luka Doncic and Micah Parsons in the same year. Thank God they have Cooper Flagg and Paige Beckers, because that's what's keeping Dallas sports afloat and some hope, at least in the city. I don't know why Jerry Jones feels the need to create problems that aren't problems. When he traded Amari Cooper, he created a wide receiver problem opposite of CeeDee Lamb. And it just has been until recently where they brought in a receiver to complement CeeDee Lamb as good as George Pickens. And then edge rusher. You trade Micah Parsons, and now you have a glaring hole at edge rusher. Right now they have Marshawn Nealand, Dante Fowler, and James Houston as their main edge rushers. I mean, that's the weakest edge rusher room in the NFL. Creating problems that you don't need to create. And this is just what the Dallas Cowboys are. Jerry Jones' stubbornness has been at the forefront of the organization making decisions. It's a big reason why the last 4 head coaches have been Mike McCarthy, Brian Schottenheimer, Jason Garrett, and then Wade Phillips. And Jason Garrett overstayed his welcome by a wide margin. It's a big reason why he was late to pay Zeke. He was late to pay Dak. He was late to pay Zach Martin. He was late to pay CeeDee Lamb. And now they all got record-setting contracts because the Cowboys are always a year too late to things. They're not a well-run organization. And I think it's kind of sad because I think the Cowboys should be one of the best organizations in football. I don't think we should be questioning the legitimacy of how well run the Cowboys are, because this is a historic franchise. And I think the only difference between them and the Raiders is that they have been lucky enough to find quarterbacks. That's really the only thing. But in terms of management, the Cowboys are bottom barrel. They don't manage the team well. And I think it is in large part to what you said, Dels, is that Jerry Jones is constantly trying to be in the headlines and trying to create a circus out of things that he doesn't need to. And Micah Parsons, he's going to go down as an all-time great defender of this era. There's no doubt about it. Trading him, especially for the competition they got, Kenny Clark was coming off his worst season last year. And I know he was injured. He had a foot injury after week 1 when they played in Brazil. I know that. But he's also a 30-year-old defensive lineman. And after 30, football players' production tends to be very sporadic. So in saying that, you really got 2 first-round picks, late first, if the Packers are really good. And let's be real. Are they going to find somebody the caliber of Micah? Probably not. They're not.
Tough look.
Cowboys seem to find replacements. You're not going to find a Micah replacement. That's going to be pretty hard.
They semi know how to draft. Semi.
They know how to draft. If one thing you can't take away from Jerry,
For the most part.
he can kind of hit.